Hey guys, it's Mrs. Church again. So today we're going to review some rhythms. The first note we're going to look at is the quarter note. You see it? The quarter note has one circly note head part and it has one stem. The quarter note, when you read it, says ta. Can you say ta when you see it? Say ta. There you go. The quarter note gets one beat. So if we pat our legs to a steady beat, there's our steady beat. And if we wanted to say quarter notes, we would say ta, 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 ta. It's that easy. But there are other notes too, not just quarter notes. Now we have to talk about eighth notes. Eighth notes right now are coming in pairs. There's two of them here. You can tell because there are two circly note heads and there are two stems. And across the top is what's called a beam. The beam holds them together. So the eighth notes, there's two of them, so they make two sounds. The quarter note has one head and its head makes one sound. The eighth note's heads make two sounds because there's two of them. So they say T, T. There are two eighth notes, so the first one gets a T and the second one gets a T. Now those two eighth notes are smaller than the quarter note. They have to fit into one beat. So when the eighth notes fit in one beat, then we have to have them saying T, T. If there are two things and they're in the same space and they both take up the same amount of space, how much space does each one take up? Let's say you're in the back seat of the car with your mom and dad are in the front seat and you're in the back seat with your brother or sister. You get part of the back seat and your brother or sister gets part of the back seat. There's only two of you and there's one whole big back seat. How much space in the back seat do each of you get? Well, I bet if you're making it even and fair, each of you would get half of the seat, right? And that's the way the eighth notes work. They like to be fair, so each one gets half a beat. And when you take a half a beat and you put it together with the other half of a beat, then you get one whole beat. So our eighth notes say T, T. And when we put them in our beats, quarter notes say ta, 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 but our eighth notes say T, 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 T. Did you see how when I patted them, the first T came when my hands were down and the second T came when my hands were up? If you switched and went T, 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 that's not it. That just sped up your beats. So you have to have one when your hands are down and one when your hands are up. T, 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 T. One pat for both of those notes, all right? Now, since we've got our eighth notes, let's try something different. We have a different thing now. Look at this. It doesn't have a circly note head. It doesn't have a stem. It's kind of squiggly. What do you think that thing is? I'll tell you, it's a rest. It's actually a quarter rest. That's right, it has the same first name as a quarter note. Sometimes things have the same first name, but they're not really related. So the quarter rest also gets one beat, just like a quarter note, but the quarter rest says something completely different. It doesn't have a note head, so when you're playing instruments, it can't make any sound at all. The quarter rest is very quiet. It says shh, 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 shh. That's one beat. So it's shh, 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 shh. And that is the quarter rest. Now, we know a quarter note says ta, and eighth notes say TT, and a quarter rest says shh. All right, there's one more note I want to talk to you about really quickly today, and it's a little bit different looking. Look at this one. It has a circly note head and a stem, kind of like a quarter note, right? But what's different? There's something strange about this note. It's not colored in. It's only halfway drawn. Who didn't finish drawing that note? Oh, wait, it's supposed to be that way. That note is a half note. You can remember what it is because it looks like it's only halfway drawn. and it's a half note, and it gets way more space than a quarter note or eighth notes. It's longer. It gets 2 beats. So a half note gets 2 beats, and when we read it, we say 2. So the quarter note says ta, 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 ta. The eighth notes say ti, 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 ti. The quarter rest says shh, 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 shh. And the half note says two, two, two. Did you get it all figured out? Well, we're going to come back and read some rhythms in just a minute, all right? Good job.